Greetings and welcome to another episode of Jewish History on the Road. I'm Sam Aronow, and today we are standing at the site of the Hasmonean Palace. Now, how do we know that? The Hasmonean Palace burned down in the Great Jewish Revolt. Many things have been built over it many times over. Well, if you come in from the Cardo, which used to be the main street, that was where the Israelite Tower was. That was built during the time of King Hezekiah, back when that was the western edge of the city. And on that spot was built the back entrance to the Hasmonean Palace. Now, I didn't talk about this in my main video about it, but the builder of the Hasmonean Palace was John Hyrcanus, who was high priest and prince of Judea after the Maccabean revolt about a generation later, and who brought Judea to full independence from the Seleucid Empire. But something else he also did was he was a great builder. So he built two main things that you could have seen once upon a time from this vantage point. One is the aqueduct, which ran all the way from Bethlehem, where itself was collecting from other aqueducts deeper in the mountains, and would have run all the way down, and actually would have run up the Tyropoeon, right in front of the palace here, and then gone under the bridge connecting the palace to the temple called Wilson's Arch, a little bit of which still exists, and fed the Jewish temple. But he also built the palace, and that would be the new house for the high priests. He did not know that they would make themselves king. That was his son, Aristobulus, who did that. But John Hyrcanus himself never actually lived in the Hasmonean Palace. During his entire life, even after the palace was finished, he continued to live in the temple complex. I have no idea why. But this was the house that was lived in by all the Hasmonean kings. So it was the house of Aristobulus, of Alexandria Nai, of Shlomzion Alexandra, and of the two brothers, her two sons, Hyrcanus II and Aristobulus II, in their civil war at various points. And finally Herod, before he built his own palace over by where the Armenian Patriarchate is now. Now what this means is where we're standing, this roadway was effectively one long balcony originally for the Hasmonean Palace. So when Alexander Yanai crucified the 800 Pharisee officers and lawmakers after his victory in the First Judean Civil War, this is about the area where he feasted while watching them be crucified in the Hotel Plaza, which actually at the time was the northern entrance of the city, and people would enter from the north right through here. So obviously the Hasmonean Palace was burned down at the beginning of the First Jewish Revolt, and it had become an administrative building by that point. There were actually multiple palaces around the city. There was Herod's palace, but there was also the High Priest's palace, which was built down on Mount Zion. So if you want to come here and see where the palace was, you're going to have to navigate some narrow streets. I'd almost advise you not to do it. You will get lost. Finding this was hard enough, but if you fiddle around on Google, you're still going to have a little bit of trouble because the GPS reception up here in the Old City is pretty terrible, and it's going to show you moving around a lot. But it's free, and it's a spectacular view. So if you want to see where my personally favorite part of ancient Jewish history happened, come here. So that's the Hasmonean Palace, so join me next time for more Jewish history on the road when we see what everyday life was like for ordinary people in Hasmonean Judea.
Special thanks to my patrons, including my Geonim, Eric Atreides, Lev Cham, Gary Davidson, Greg Maev, Vicky Nelson, and Or Weiss.